Welcome, everybody. Shiur number 644. We're learning today L'Refuah Shalema Yosef ben Sima and L'Refuah Shalema Liba bas Golda bas Sheva. Shtaka L'Refuah Shalema P'soich Shechal Yisrael. Okay, getting back to our malacha of kosher tying. So the question comes up now is we brought down in the Ramah, if somebody made a double knot, that's not supposed to be done on Shabbos. But now let's say one has a double knot on their shoe, b'makam sar. In other words, they have to take off their shoe. They can't stay with their shoe the whole time. It's a problem. They have to put it on, they have to wear it, they have to go out, whatever the case is. But b'makam sar, it's a very annoying, it's a very uncomfortable situation. Said Ramah, one would be allowed to open up a double knot. So the question arises: why would that be the case over here? We don't really find. I mean, depending on certain circumstances, b'makam sar, depending what type of makam sar, b'makam chayli. I mean, there's various different type of circumstances whereby certain things possibly could be done in certain ways. But over here, we don't find so often whereby the Shulchan Aruch comes straight up and says, "Okay, but makam sar, it's the Rabbanan, so do what you have to do," and that's all. We don't really find such a lashon. It's like it's a little bit of a different lashon than what we usually find. We know that there's certain things are a drabanan to do on Shabbos, not allowed to be done midrabanan, and then there's certain klalim in Shabbos how to work with them. But whereby the Ramah says straight out, yeah, b'makam sar, go ahead and do what you have to do. If we don't really find such a lashon too often, so the question is, why would that be more specified in this case, whereby the Ramah is telling us, okay, you're not supposed to make a double knot, or you shouldn't be opening a double knot, but b'makam sar, okay, then go ahead and open it. What would be the reason for that? Okay, so the Sefer Ayal Meshulash on page Kufnan Beis, Ois Tezayin, tells us that that which the Ramah said, the Shulchan Aruch told us, Nira de v'makam sara ein lachish, when in the makam sar we're not so worried about double knot issues. So he says the bottom line is like this: Harbe poiskim sofer, many poiskim hold, shaloi lahater Ramah, that which the Ramah held, but makam there's no problem, is ella b'shnei ksharim zelza. It's only when one tied a double knot, one knot on top of another knot, shekoshrin lebay bayayim, and they're going to open it the same day. They're not going to leave it for more than 24 hours. But it was a question on the double knot. If you're going to tell me now, explains the Sefer Ayal Meshulash, you're going to tell me now you're going to keep it more than 24 hours, then you're running into a kayama dika knot, and that would already be a problem, even b'makam sar. Why is that? Explains us the Ayal Meshulash, why do Ramah tell us bedafka this case? In general, you don't find such a thing, that b'chlal they just say, oh, it's asa midrabanan, b'makam sar, go ahead and do it. You don't find that. Lefi sheyesh, says Sefer Ayal Meshulash, lefi sheyesh kan shtei sfekas. You have over here two sfekas, two things whereby it could go either way. Number one, he says, is im halacha karambam. Is the halacha like the Rambam, like we learned way back when in the beginning of HILCHOS KOSHAIR matter, and the halachas of tying and untying and so on, which we're going to get to again, some more halachas of opening in general when we talk about matter a little bit more. But again, they're basically a brother and a sister. These two malachas, kosher, tying, matter, untying, they pretty much go hand in hand. Im halacha karambam. Number one, we don't know, is the halacha like the Rambam? Shekosher shel uman is also, whereby the kesher of a craftsman's knot is also lebay bayom, even for the same day. In other words, according to the Rambam and the other Rishonim that hold like the Rambam, that a craftsman's knot, we said in the beginning, is also even if it's for less than 24 hours. So that's one suffix. We don't know if the halacha is like the Rambam or not in this case. Im shnei ksharim zelzeh, and that's number one. Number two, im shnei ksharim zelzeh nachshavim lekesher uman. So good. Even if you'll tell me that the halacha is like the Rambam, it's sort of like a sfek type of thing. Even if you'll tell me no, the halacha is like the Rambam, that a kesher uman less than 24 hours you're not allowed to make. Good. So I'll tell you the other thing. Shnei ksharim zelzeh nachshavim lekaman uman. We don't know. It's in question if a double knot is considered a craftsman's knot. Elamai what? We learned by a double knot. The Ramah said, it's a bottom line. Then the Mishabur explained, bottom line, it's a tight knot, it's a very solid knot, it doesn't come apart so easily, and thereby you have to start playing around with it to try and untie it, open it up, and it's a mamish, what we call in the halacha muhudak. It's very tight, it's very sturdy, and thereby the Ramah said we have to be careful and be choishish that a double knot or sure the knot at the end of a string would be falling into a question of a double knot. So over here, again, we have two things. Number one is it a question, is a kesher uman, a craftsman's knot, the thing that makes it aser, or is it kesher shel kayama? So we don't know. That's number one. And it could be it's not even kesher uman. And even if you'll tell me kesher uman, so we're going to tell you good, but we don't know if this double knot or the knot at the end of a string is really considered a kesher uman, whereby we'll say it's a problem. But again, the Ramah said, be careful, don't do it. But b'makam sar, if it's an annoyance situation, the shoe, they have to take off the shoe, it's bothering them, the child, the adult, whatever the case is, they have to lay down, they have to put it back on, it's double knotted, they need it, they can't go without it, it's going to be a lot of aggravation. Came along to Ramah and said, in that case, it's no problem because of the fact that you have these two questions anyways, and the whole thing is a shtickle of a chumrah that we'll see in a minute. The Sefer Yitzhak Halachos brings it down like that, a shtickle of a chumrah. So Makam Sar, we let you open it. But explains to us the Sefer Ayil Meshulish further, Avol B'shar Kesher D'Rabbanan, but other types of knots that are actually also Midrabbanan. Hainu B'Kesher Lizman, in other words, a regular knot, for example, that's made for more than 24 hours, afilu hu hedyet, even if it's a simple man's knot type of a thing, v'chein kesher shehu vadai shel uman, or a different type of a knot that's for sure, we know for sure is a craftsman's knot, afilu hu liyayma, even if it's less than 24 hours. So those cases whereby it's for sure asa midrabanan, it's not a question of a suffix, it could be like this, could be like that, it's for sure asa midrabanan, he says, he explains, then it was a bezez asaf b'makam sar. In such a case, it will be asa also b'makam sar. Now, of course, we're talking about b'makam sar. It's just an uncomfortable situation. We're not talking about where somebody, mamish is in pain, or there's issues like that, or somebody's sick. That's not the issue. We're talking about it's an annoyance situation. An annoying situation. I need my shoe. I have to take it off, or whatever. So over there, if it's a real derabanan, whereby it's for sure, kesher shel kayam or kesher shel uman, and so on. So then we'll say even b'makam sar. Of course, a light b'makam sar, not getting into all the other issues of where it's makam chayli or whatever, but light b'makam sar, just simple annoyance, would not be enough to matter a derabanan. Now, he does bring down to the Sefer Ayil Meshulish. There are those who want to say that the whole heter of the Ramah to open the Makam Sarv when it's Einim Mahudik, when it's not so tight. But again, Lamaisa, he brings down, there are those who say even when it's tight also. And the bottom line is the Yesh L'Hakol Lamaisa Af B'Mahudik, even though it would be a tight double knot, B'Makam Sar, we would be Makel. Again, to open it up. Okay, just to read the lashon from the Sefer Yitzhak Halachos, he says like this, very simple: v'kesher agabe kesher, what a double knot, one knot on top of another. Again, I just want to make clear what we're talking about is, again, it was intertwined, like we always talk about. The first knot is always the intertwining of the laces, and then instead of a bow, a knot was made up on top, whether it was made like that before or on Shabbos or whatever the case is. And we're not talking about a case whereby one by mistake they meant to make a bow and turned into a knot. We said that was much easier to open up. One didn't have kavanah, but they did a bit kavanah. They didn't know, whatever the case was. So, or was left there from before Shabbos or whatever. So he says very simple: v'kesher gabi kesher. A knot, a double knot. Since the whole thing is really a chumrah, mutalatir b'makam sar. One would be allowed to open it b'makam sar. Could go in kesher or gabi kesher, like a double knot. B'minalim, one has on the shoes a double knot. V'reis latir, they want to open it. Oh, but he does bring down, which one does have to be careful. Avol kesher also ha'aseh liyoisem yom echad, a knot. A double knot that was made to last more than a day, that's kesher shel kayam already. A person made a double knot, and they had a mind, I want to keep it for more than a day. So they want to keep it more than 24 hours. So that's a problem of kesher shel kayam. Avol kesher also liyoisem yom echad is also lahatir afil b'makam sar. Even a case whereby one is a little bit uncomfortable, one would not be able to open it because that's already running into, even if you tell me it's not a kesher shel kayam, it's not a kesher shel uman, craftsman is not, but the lemais it's a kesher shel kayam, you're running into major problems. It's only over there where it's less than 24 hours, one would be allowed to open it. Now, I do have to say the Sefer Mishnah's Shabbos does say lemaisa If you remember, we learned in the past that a kesher shel kayama, the Rama brings down two shitas. One is up to 24 hours. It's considered a kesher shel kayama, more than 24 hours, and there are others who hold up to a week, up to 1 week. But we said lamaisa one should be machmir up to within 24 hours. More than that will be a kayama. But he does bring down v'chenikilu chachamim b'makam tsar in the makam tsar taka, and somebody's has tsar lahater shnei ksharim zelzeh, to open up a double knot im nikshru mitoich kavana, they tied it taka with kavana latirim b'soich shiva yomim me'asi as a kesher. In other words, they had a mind to open it within 7 days. In other words, like those other shitas that hold that has to be more than 7 days in order to be a kayama. So b'makam tsar does bring that down again, just to go over real quickly. V'chenikilu chachamim b'makam tsar lahater shnei ksharim zelzeh im nikshru mitoich kavana with kavana latirim b'soich shiva yomim me'asi as ha-kesher. So he does bring down on the bottom again the Sefer Mishnah Shabbos on page Kuf Pei Beis that yesh lahakol b'makam sar af im hakesher hu ad shavua yamim, up to a week. In other words, they tied it with kavanah for a week. Even such a double knot, one will be allowed to open b'makam sar. Again, preferably a day, but if it was they got stuck, and still there are those yesh hamilismach brings down the Sefer Mishnah Shabbos even up to a week. The kavanah was up to a week for the double knot. Even then, b'makam sar, only b'makam sar, one will be allowed to open up the shoes. Just finishes off with the case. V'lochin im shochach adam, a person forgot for kesher as shruchim and olive, they tied their shoelaces b'shnei ksharim zelzeh. They didn't know, they tied it a double knot. Mistar l'lachas behem kol Shabbos. Of course, it's mistar to go like that the whole Shabbos. It bothers them, hurts them. Is mutar latirim, one would be allowed to open it. He ends off an important thing to keep in mind. B'mikra even says, how far does this go? Sometimes the double knots and the person tries, they just can't get it open. So, and if it's hurting the person, that aflanatka, one would even be allowed to tear the string. B'mikra says, even to tear the string or to cut the string, like with a knife or so, something like that. Not on threading, whatever, just by like a middle of string to cut it, like a cake box type of a string. V'layasi says, the only thing is, don't do this. V'layasi says, not to do it in front of an amaris, but even as far as to cut the string with a knife, if it really gets bad, mamish, I can't open it. First one should try and open it. Mamish, I can't open. What should I do? Even to go ahead and cut the string, b'diavad, worst case scenario, b'makam sar would be okay. Thank you for listening. Atzlach and bracha, kol tov.